anybody you use to do paint maintenance on the 378 building needs to take the EPA's course on RRP.
This is you guys 2 years ago? I don't know if you guys did a walkthrough with you guys.
So once they get that certification,
Some of you might recognize yourselves over there.
he's responsible to ensure.
But we've done these walkarounds all over the country.
Right? But they need to be RRP certified. He's the only person on the job.
So let's see what the code says for you guys. Ready? Is this an exterior steel wooden stair?
Steel.
Is this an exterior steel? Don't worry about the word fire escape. Never use it again. Mass Building Code says 1001.3. It says all exterior steel or wooden stair. Is this an exterior steel or wooden stair?
Yes.
Is this an exterior steel or wooden stair? Same? Same?
Yes.
Now these are balconies. 101 covers balconies, so all exterior steel or wooden stairs. Romeo and Juliet balconies, that's what they call. So any place that you'll wait for a fireman to save you, it's called a balcony, must be inspected if it's exposed to the weather. So all exterior steel or wooden stairs, balconies, it's right in the code. All exterior steel wooden stairs and balconies.
Everywhere.
Is this an exterior steel wooden stair?
Yeah.
Is this an exterior steel wooden stair?
Yep.
Is this an exterior steel wooden stair?
It is.
So 5 feet off the ground and it's the way out of their building, is this an exterior steel wooden stair?
Yes.
Decks, are they an exterior steel wooden stair?
Yes.
Catwalks and on handicap ramps, are they an exterior steel or wooden stair or a bridge?
Yes.
Exterior steel wooden stair or bridge?
Well,
Any-
a concrete ramp is,
Exterior steel? They don't mention cement, but it gets picked up.
it does.
All exterior steel or wooden cement stairs.
Okay.
The word cement should have been in there, but it didn't make it. But anything, all exterior steel or wooden stairs.
Well, that one picture though, it's a concrete handicap ramp and it's less than 5 feet.
Yeah, it's considered a bridge. We're dealing with the railings mainly. We're dealing with the whole structure, but you're mainly dealing with railings that can pop. Question? No?
Question.
Yes.
If the student's egress within the unit itself, is it still required even if there is steel?
Very good question. I'll answer that because you asked if they have 7 means of egress out of the building. They have the front one and the back one, and they happen to have 5 more. Ready? All exterior steel or wooden stairs
And balconies.
and balconies. And we'll mention fire escape
Well,
sometime.
I'm just saying about this, we got these huge apartment buildings and they got all these steel balconies off every single apartment.
And they're all round.
Right.
And we see it, I mean, Quincy, that doesn't matter.
This is Chelsea Hills. We inspected that. This is also Bentley College. We inspected that for them. So if it's not inspected by the state, it does need it falls under. Yes. Ladders. All exterior steel wooden stairs and fire escapes. And fire escapes, that's where they pick up the ladders. So fire escapes have ladders. All ladders. If you have a pre-existing condition, yes. You want to get a new ladder today, you'll never get it.
Yeah, the problem with ladders too for us is that a city official will come to a vacant unit and inspect it with no knowledge of the family that's moving in. So the assumption is normal healthy adults are going to occupy this and be able to utilize that. We have special knowledge. So we would know that the family has 3 kids under 6 years old that couldn't utilize that. Or that maybe the tenant is in a mobility impaired or handicapped or otherwise disabled. And that would change what we say, and there would be a difference between what we're saying and what the locals saying, because we have special knowledge of the family that's moving in and their ability to utilize that.
But it wasn't pre-existing.
Well, yeah, but there is a scenario where our inspectors come out and realize that this ladder on the wall that you have approval for is completely deficient and non-functional for mobility. And
For that particular client.
And so we would be inclined to say no, regardless of what you have. So my advice is that if you have a ladder, update it to a stair.
Yeah. So that's the special knowledge we get.
But I know you can say all, but just to be clear, all means single-family homes,
Yeah, everything.
owner-occupied, doesn't matter. I mean, there's a lot of things that they
Yeah,
do that.
yeah, everybody's covered. Institutions, churches, commercial, residential. Everybody must fall in this code. You must have 2 means of egress, regardless of its use. Anything that's going to be occupied for work-related housing must have 2 means of egress. A basement must have 2 means of egress out of the basement if it's an occupied unit of some sort. This spirals.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
From the building or from occupied unit? Two exits. From the building or from the occupied unit?
Again, it's every unit must have 2 means of egress. So a lot of times if I go into a hallway, that gets me to my front stair, but then to satisfy that building being chopped up into 4, 6, or 8 units, they have to have a fire escape out of my window.
Well,
So-
one of the things, what he's describing, this is something that we see all the time. You come into that apartment building, it's the one that got the balconies that we have been looking at like fire escapes.
No.
But
Yeah.
we come into that building and the apartment has 2 doors side by side, one in the dining room, one in the living room, right? It goes into one single hallway. The hallway generally has a fire door in the middle of it, right?
Right.
So you can go out either door and go to the front stair or the back stair.
Right.
Okay? Okay, so interior stairs, we know. We've been accepting it, it's okay. Then 2 doors are 2 means of egress out 2 sides of a hallway.
Right.
But if you come out those doors and there's one set of stairs to the street and the other is to a window with a fire escape on it, is that 2 means of egress for the unit?
From the building?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So to say that it's absolutely, we're going to absolutely say no when the fire department has approved that. 2 doors in the same unit, into the same hallway.
Oh, no, I understand
One
that.
goes to a stair, one goes to a window with a fire escape.
Right.
If it's city
If
approved,
we
it's
have
hard for us to say
have one
that.
door to the unit.
Well, one door to the unit means only one means of egress.
Yes, in this
Unless, then if there's only one door, then he has to have the fire escape to that unit's window.
I don't know. I used to live in Mystic Place, apartment complex, 3 huge 15-story buildings, 1 door to the unit, no balconies. That's it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happened in the past that were wrong. But let me tell you, what he's talking about today is the answer is going to be a fire escape will satisfy. You get a building that has 4 units,
right.
and everything makes it, but then all of a sudden one unit is kind of quirky and in the back corner. In order to get that unit safe and meet the 2 means of egress, you add a fire escape to it. Now you've just taken a situation where the existing 2 means of egress satisfied 3, but you augmented it with 1 fire escape in the back. And we did that with the YMCA in Cambridge. It was a 5-story, 1 room they were using to house somebody up there. We had to put a huge fire escape all the way to the top to pick up that 1 room. Now they've eliminated that room and they're removing the fire escape. Catch 22. But these things.
Well, if they leave the fire escape, whether or not someone's using that room, all exterior stairs, right?
Right, all exterior
it's not
steel or wooden
maintained
stairs.
it anyway without that.
And these are the
Here's the outside slide.
some of the outside slides. They used to have these in schools. They used to have these in the army barracks. They used to have a lot of these things. So you can't find these anymore. The fact that I found that one in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and it's a 12-story, yes.
Yeah, I have a question. I want to know what's your take on this. Balconies with concrete floors,
Yeah.
but the sheet metal form is all rotted out.
Right. Yeah, it's a cement sponge. The worst thing about cement pads is that they absorb water every day. They transfer that water to the iron, and it just rots it out. You have to basically blast those out, and there's very little you can do. You can push another 5 or 10 years out of it, and I'll give you a great example. If I take a balcony that's got some rotten cement, I would basically skin it with another channel all around it. I would run a piece of diamond plate, 1/8 diamond plate or 4-inch diamond plate over it, so it still rests on the rotten cement that's there. But now you got a whole new frame. Then you put legs to it, so you basically bury the bad platform inside this new system.
So
That's a temporary fix because it'll eventually rot down, and you can start rotting into your new one too. So that's a temporary fix.
what we just discovered in this training is that we've been looking at fire escapes in this way, but not these balconies. And so we're going to be doing a rewrite coming up anyway as we shift to MTW. And that's going to be before, way sooner than later. And picking up these balconies as part of the inspection, we're going to have to address when we rewrite. But ultimately, the balcony is subject to the same Mass General Law 1001.3 as is the exterior stair fire escape. So in the interim, if you see it, simply ask for certification with Mass 1001.3, just like you would the fire escape, right? You know, I mean, if it's something that looks really scary, I don't want you to do every single balcony technically. You understand that, right? Okay.
And if you already met the 2 means of egress in your apartment, and let's say you have 2 means of egress and you have a balcony, you can temporarily put off the balcony from use temporarily, because for some reason you don't have the money to fix it right now, but you have 2 means of egress that you satisfy, just knock it off. You know, somehow fix the doorway or whatever lets them get out of that until you have the money to fix those. So you don't have to make it certified right away, but because it's covered, you have to do something about it. So this is what a tag looks like in Seattle when you run up against it in the middle of the night into an alleyway. So firemen now have the first instinct to say, "Yep, I can get on this one. It's a good one." Okay. So now let's go into since you know what an exterior steel wooden stair. Let me now put on a one of our Farscape Academy pieces. And let me just play this one first. Mass Building Code. It used to be 1028.3. So let's just make sure everybody understands. All exterior bridges, steel or wooden stairways, then fire escapes, then egress balconies. So if somebody says, "What are you, crazy?" Nobody's ever laughed at that crap. See, it's right in the code. So shall be examined and or tested. So here's the word examined. And certified. Certified doesn't mean in a visual opinion. I need a certification, some sort of documentation that not only did you see what was visible, but you also addressed everything that's invisible. So the only thing that these classes are talking about is the fact that the inspector, and just so you know, here's the classes. You can go to Farscape, which I'm going to show Farscape Academy. We just finished doing a class in Northampton. So all the building inspectors out in the West, they've been to the class. We did one in Westboro, so all the inspectors in the middle of Massachusetts have been to this class. We were just down in Taunton. All the Taunton officials have been to this class. And they now know that if they don't get satisfied, they have the word tested in their code, which means load tested. So if they're not satisfied that you've done everything to convince them that this fire escape was examined and certified, they will order a load test. And none of that money, a $5,000 load test, doesn't buy any paint, doesn't buy any bolts. It's paid for big burly men to move around. Weights from one to the next, take that money, put it in their pocket, and drive to the next load test. It doesn't buy you any paint or bolt test.
You've got 1028.3 up. That's the old code.
That's the old code.
Subsequently, that code's evolved now to 1001.3.
And it's not changed. The wording is the exact same wording. So they just changed the number on it. And now, and certified for structural accuracy and safety every 5 years by a Massachusetts registered professional engineer or others qualified and acceptable to the building official. We highly recommend that you don't take a G3 licensed inspection. And I have a G3 licensed inspection. But I highly recommend that you don't take a G3 licensed inspection because there's only a few of us that are doing it right, and there's a lot of us that are doing it wrong. So make sure that it has a structural engineer sign off. Now we have structural engineers on staff. We just get our structural engineer to sign off a lot of our work. So we have ways around it, and another way that we deal with it, a lot of times your building inspector has been to one of my classes, so you have the ability to go in and do this part, or others qualified and acceptable to the building official. That's why we do these classes. So that a lot of times the city official will only accept a structural engineer sign off, or others acceptable. I've gone out of my way to prove to them that I know, and that's because we teach the class. If some other G3 guy wants to sign off in your city, let him speak with the building official and have a one-to-one with that guy. And yes, then he can sign off on these things. And a lot of times when we do any work that, because again, it's a small niche market, not everybody does both, inspect and certify. Whenever we are certifying a fire escape and repairing it, we offer the 10-year warranty, but we usually and most of the time, always bringing in an independent engineer that's not part of our staff to sign off for the client, and we pay for it. Meaning the client finds some reasonable guy to pay 3 hours to basically make sure that he's, that he's the final sign off on our work, so that there's a separation and there's no conflict of interest. That's what we do. But for now, only get structural engineers to look at your fire escapes. So as soon as you get a certificate, say, who signed off on this? Oh, it's Joe, somebody from GQ license out of Boston. I need an engineer to look at this. So same guy, have that guy go get his engineer to come in and look and certify that. So as soon as you start making it just the structural engineers, it's going to help a lot. Yes?
Well,
Will they ever find the Massachusetts registered professional engineer?
Yeah, just go in the book on the structural. Try to look on the structural engineers. Yellow pages, Google, firescape engineer, Boston. Structural engineers.
the problem for us is we could get a document from an owner who worked with the city and followed everything, and an individual acceptable to the building official signed off. Then we get that piece of paper. Barring something that we can see and say, based on that, I'm rejecting this piece of paper.
Yeah.
Generally, we're accepting that piece of paper.
Right.
Because the law allows someone acceptable to the building.
And submit an affidavit, correct. So I'm telling you, and we just went through this, that after you get this nice, beautiful piece of paper, the fire escape was painted black, we go back to the age of the fire escape. If you look up at a fire escape that's 50 to 75 years old and it has nothing but original hardware on it, and you think in 75 years it has completely rusted at least one time before the guy got some paint on it.
No.
With that, whether it's spot rust, some rust, or 100% rust, what was compromised during that 75 years? Structural. So even though you have a nice painted black fire escape, just by you looking up and it sees nothing but original hardware, and now we've done, and by the way, this has been an issue because we've done classes, but now as we teach the building inspectors to be aware of what's out there, it's making your job a lot easier. So these classes are not just for you. We're teaching this class to the building inspectors who are now on the watch for these guys giving opinion tests. Yes?
What do you think the average cost is to get a structural engineer?
Most engineers want anywhere from as low as $75 an hour to as much as $175 an hour. They will take anywhere from 3 to 5 hours or 5 to 10 hours, depending on the size and complexity and the write-up that they need. And if it involves any oversight, which is the 3 visits, then you have to factor 3 hours for each one of those visits, and then that's where you have to go.
It's starting to run into some money then.
Yeah, you're looking at an average of $1,000 to $3,000 for engineer oversight. But here's the beauty. Your fire escape took 75 years to rot by itself and fall apart. Imagine you refurbish it and you silicone shut it.
Yeah.
It's going to be 75 to 100 years before now the rest of your life, you're just going to be painting it. Just like a rubber roof. I've patched many rubber roofs with tar. But as soon as you rubber it, it becomes out of sight, out of mind for at least 30 years.
Because of the fact that so many fire escapes are out of compliance, is there any plan to get financing for owners, what they do for that payment?
I would call Niama and speak with them. And Julie Kelleher is one I can tell you. I mean, that's who we are partnering with, and but it's a difficult situation. Short of the fact that you may have multiple buildings, then you get a lower rate. But on average, the inspections for balconies, we charge anywhere from a beginning to a 5-story, let's say, anywhere from $89 for an inspection, which is a pass-fail, to $489 for a full report that includes a video walkthrough. So let's take a look at one of those.
CGBs too.
So if there's a company that specializes in it, it's cheaper than the engineer because they want a flat rate, and they usually get $1,000 to $3,000. So if you all want to write down Fire Escape Academy, and there's about 500 videos here, I will send to Kevin the link of every seminar that we've done. Yours will be uploaded there also. And there's also a playlist here, not only of the seminars we've done, but there's a playlist here for all the National Fire Escape Inspectors. And so you would go here to Nationwide Fire Inspector Training, and if you want to see fire inspectors and building inspectors being taught what to look for, we did a class 2 weeks ago up in Lowell for the entire building department in Lowell. So if anybody has Lowell as one of their cities, they're on top of fire escapes now because there was a collapse. And so just let this thing load up a little bit.
Remember, you'll have to watch this at home because we don't have access yet.
No, I actually did it backwards. I was given access, but then the access was taken away, and I got this on the wireless. So, but this is Bob Marsilia, the building commissioner, right after a class. Let's see if she's loading. While that's loading, let me just... I'll answer some questions for you. I'm just going to make sure that she's... Yep. No. She's fine here. I just wanted to make sure that was... I had to use a wireless card in order to see this. She'll play. Gary, you want to check to see if you can get this thing to see the wireless, and I'll answer some questions. So this will be the piece that I'll show you guys as soon as you make sure that the wireless is grabbing it correctly. But let's open it up to questions because again, you guys just went through 2 hours, and let's just recap some of the things that you're definitely going to need. Because you can't remember a lot of this. You guys got lead paint to worry about. You guys got all kinds of things. Make it a checklist item. Ask for a copy of the current certification. It's required by law every 5 years. I need it. Yes, question.
The fire escape. You mentioned at the beginning that it can go through a bedroom, living room, and not a bathroom.
Right. You can't have a fire escape out a window. What happens a lot of times they have a fire escape outside, and then they remodel the whole thing in the room, and the bathroom went from here to over there, and that's where the fire escape used to be. So if you have a fire escape out of bathroom, it's illegal.
Or kitchen.
And kitchens, climbing over a kitchen sink to get to the bathroom. Yeah, again. No, let me explain this. The traditional place is always out of a bedroom. But if all of a sudden in the kitchen, it's not climbing over a sink or it's in a room that's giving you the access, it's really a call between now you and the building official. But a lot of times, I've seen many times where kitchens are the ones. But bathrooms, no. And when you're climbing over sinks and obstructions, no. Otherwise, it's bedrooms and common. I have them out of living rooms, and again, and the other thing that you need to do also is to find out where the fire escape is, where the main stairs. Because if you have both stairs on the same side of the building, sometimes that causes a problem. Because you're supposed to have the fire escape here, but the main stair coming into the apartment over here.
The city's approved it.
Oh yeah, it's a pre-existing condition situation. Yeah.
But this business with what room it's coming out of, right? I mean, we're going to have to talk about this. I mean, this is something that I don't think we're riddled with ones with fire escapes out of bathrooms or kitchens. We're not riddled with them, but they exist. But more importantly, most of them are out of sleeping rooms, right? So what are we looking for in that sleeping room? Is there a privacy lock on the door? Can there be a lock on the door? Can there be a slide bolt, a hook lock, anything? No lock on the room containing a fire egress, right? Can there be a fan? Can there be a window fall guard? Can there be an air conditioner in the window? No. The other thing to consider, and we don't always talk about, is I got some pictures from out Berkshire. And very early on, some of you who've been around a long time, the very first fire escape stuff wasn't in. I took pictures of like 2,000 pounds of ice hanging off a fire escape 2 stories over the ground. It was completely unusable. Had everything in the world wrong with it. Lock on the bedroom door, slide bolt inside that, the window sash dropped, the storm window was missing a piece of hardware, so it was hard to open it, right? And then when you got outside, there was a valley in the roof, and there was no shield or deflector up there to deflect the roof water. There was no gutter, right? So there was all of this roof water converging right on top of the fire escape, and it's freezing as soon as it touches the frozen metal, right? And so it's like literally putting thousands of pounds of pressure on this wooden building. The pressure plates through the wall, right? Yeah. But the whole wall, as we looked at this later on, right? The whole wall had a bow in it. from that condition being left winter after winter after winter. It's a balloon frame building with a bowled out wall. Yeah. So
It's not fire
Here's,
safe anymore.
here's something that we just learned last week, which is going to be important. I don't know if you have the same ability, but we tell people nationwide that what they've done is actually do an ordinance nearby to order tagging and order confidence tests. So I'm going to talk about this, and then we're ready to play. But there's a policy. The state official, the state inspector said in Massachusetts you can't use ordinances or fire code administrative rule changes to circumvent the code. But in the code there's nothing. He goes, but you can make a departmental procedure. And there's no acceptance of that. You do that
well,
internally.
they're the authority of the jurisdiction, so they
They can do a departmental procedure. So right now we're working on a statewide departmental procedure that will go to all the associations, in turn go to all, and they're going to ask for confidence tests, tags, but it's a departmental procedure of how they want it inspected and how they want it repaired. If you guys have the ability to have what's called either an informational bulletin or a departmental procedure that says that when you receive a fire escape on any of your building or a fire escape confidence test, it must have a tag as per industry standard guidelines. It must have a confidence test filled out in lieu of an opinion letter from an engineer.
Do you know everything I just described in that unit in Pittsfield? That owner went to the fire department. They did not care at all about one single issue that I put on that paper. They didn't care at all. No, it's okay. Yeah.
And by the way, here in Massachusetts, 50 states, 40 states is controlled by fire departments. 10 states are controlled by building departments. We're controlled by building departments, not fire departments. So even if you win, the fire department has no say.
Absolutely.
It was a building department. If he doesn't like it, he's the one that can change it. But not in Massachusetts only. You go to Rhode Island, it's fire department.
But it's the Department of Public Safety, not the state fire marshal that has oversight of fire escapes.
So
this case is going to be responsible, fire department or the landlord?
What's that?
This case, like he went to the fire department and they said it's
The
okay.
fire department said it was okay. So I said, you know what? It's not okay with us. We don't want the unit.
Okay.
So there was a whole lot of rambling, but it went away. You know? Like, we can stay and fight over this vacant unit for the rest of the time you're in the rental business, or we can give up, move on, and rent to someone else, but we're not going to take the unit.
So here's the thing that you want to use, this poster, if you want to put it in one of your brochures that you carry around, take this poster and show it to clients so that you can tell them, this is what I'm trying to stop firemen and people from getting hurt. So use that. Whoever you speak with that's going to try to work with you, make sure they give you credentials, some sort of documents that show that they're qualified. Every fire escape that gets tagged, we tag every fire escape with red, yellow. Doesn't mean anybody else is doing it, but you should require, it could be a departmental procedure, that every fire escape have some sort of identification and uses an industry standard tag, which is what this is, on the fire escape so that your inspectors yearly don't have to find out whether it's certified, they can just look at the tag. Again, departmental procedures which we were made. This is a confidence test. This confidence test is one pulled right off the internet from Seattle. And it's either a PDF or a Word document. You can just erase their name, put your name, and say this is an industry standard confidence test that will be reissued to any engineer who gives you an opinion letter. You make them fill out this form, which is an industry standard form, or at least answer the questions in the form on their letterhead. So this is an industry standard document. Here you have industry standard repair guidelines, industry standard designing of new fire escape systems to make solutions for existing structures. As a guideline,
So
engineer oversight. The engineer must mark up the repairs, either in a plan or with spray paint. Guess what's cheaper? And the lead law. And again, the credentials is again not always to you. The credentials really go to the building inspector in the area. Structural engineers and/or others approve to the building official. So you make sure that these are all qualified people. So they're going to have to give out one of these. We're ready to play that. We've got to ask
So
a
there's
question.
another branch of it, I know all your outreach, right? And, the guy at the beach house, my buddy Steve, he's the youngest fire chief in the state, right? He's still involved in putting together firefighter challenges. It's like competitive scoring of different firehouses and a litany of firefighting skills. There's no such thing as assessment of a fire escape as part of their challenge. So it's an interesting piece of outreach for you.
Yeah.
From the bottom up.
Yeah. And then in the West Coast, out in Portland, in Seattle, what they have on a 10-story building is a ladder just for the firemen on the outside. They're not supposed to walk on the stairs on the inside. They got to climb a 100-foot ladder with all their gear on a ladder on the outside of a fire escape fighting. This is Lowell. Bob Marsilli, the commissioner. He asked for this because the, what do you call it, some deck collapses. And the state fire marshal, Gene Novak, asked for this to...
No, Gene Novak's Department of Public Safety.
Right, because he asked...
You know what, I think it's loading.
It's loading again? Yeah, it's, but again, if you go to the Fire Escape Academy, we have about 400 videos there. If you go on the Fire Escape Engineer, what you have there is typical inspections that we've done nationwide, and you see not only a slideshow of the fire escape repair, but you also see just what happened when they do a walkthrough. Let's see if we have any other questions that anybody may have while this thing is just slowly loading itself.
Kid Academy inspect.
Sometimes you have to push the ball back, you know, the starting ball on that thing, back a little bit. And don't make it full screen, because that's sometimes just one of the issues.
Kid Academy inspect.
Oh yeah, it's just, you guys got probably no connection in here. So any other questions that we have?
What connection do we have?
No, you guys have a connection here, but it's blocked from the YouTube, and when we connected in, it still was very slow because a lot of people are using, so we're using a wireless, but even our wireless was giving us a little bit of a problem. Yeah, he helped me out, but it still crashed. I was using my wireless, but it was, it's probably a little bit. Anybody else have any other questions associated with what we've talked about today? Because again, these you can go on YouTube, and for your future training, you watch 3 to 5 of these videos, and the seminars, these 2-3 hour seminars are online for free. The classes to the individual inspectors are online for free, and typical fire escape inspection repair guidelines are under fire escape engineers for free. So you can sit there and just get a sense as to what the standard is out there, and you can force any inspector or engineer to go look at these if they like. Well, what do you want? You say, well, let me send you a clip. So we can send you the clip to the Channel 7 news piece to say, hey, if somebody's giving you a bit of a hard time and say, well, why are you picking on us all of a sudden? You can always send them the Hank Phillippe Ryan little piece. You can always send them the
Kid Academy inspector.
You can always send them back. If it plays, just let it play.
Training. Here we are in Loma.
Yeah, just put it on hold for a second. Since it'll, let's just see the. Yeah, I think lower the. I think the volume is coming out of one of our speakers there, but let's see if that helps buffer it. So we have the links now to the seminar classes. We have the links when we actually grab the officials. The best thing about the inspector officials, we actually have Gene Novak being trained on how to inspect the fire escape. We have Bob Marsilli being trained on how to inspect the fire escape. So now these are the commissioners of a city saying, yes, this is how we want to inspect it. So if you have somebody out of Walpole that's like, well, what's this newfangled thing? You basically say, hey, let me send you a link to the Channel 7 news piece, to the seminars we've been trained on, and also to inspector training in case. Because a lot of these towns, it's one-man operations. 1 to 3 guys are now running an entire town. Because the cutbacks, budget cutbacks, a lot of these guys are part-time. Still loading? Yeah, for some reason, I don't understand why it's short of me getting out my iPhone and showing you, but again, Fire Escape Academy and Fire Escape Engineers will play. But if you'd like, we can take I don't know how much time we have, Kevin, if everybody's ready to go. If they want to take a 5-minute break just to stretch, and as soon as we get this on, we can play it, or else we can call it here at the end, and I'll hang out for additional questions at the very end. I apologize that we can't play something, but...
I think we'll call it here so they can get up to lunch and get back.
Okay, very good. And again, so if anybody has any questions, grab one of our cards. If you want me to send any information to you, I need some cards so I can send you some of these links and some of this information, and you can always call us directly. We'd be more than happy if you have any problems anyway. Take a photograph, send it to us, we'll give you an opinion on it, on what needs to be done. Okay? Thank you. This will be online in about 7 to 10 days. You'll see this class online.
See you guys. We need back in 45 minutes, so we have to do a training in inspection part. All right, so we'll just after 1 o'clock.
All right. We get a whole 45 minutes from
Back to training. Here we are in Lowell, Massachusetts. Bob, say your last name. Marsiglia, Italiano? Si. We're here looking at, he's the building commissioner in the city of Lowell, and we have a fire escape right down by our feet. What's the greatest thing about this is we're going to be able to see all the rust in the connections. We're going to see all original hardware and squares. We're going to basically, he had a class today, and what we're basically looking at is a fire escape that no more paint is on it. So this is a perfect one because I can get my nose right into it. And this is a perfect example of everything that can go wrong with a fire escape. Let's talk about this one. And then we're going to go look at these other ones and a big monster that's on the back. So this may be a 10 to 15 minute video, but we don't, what is on here works there. So let's take a look. More paint and rust or more rust and paint? So that's all you need. Let's say they knew you were coming, Bob, and they painted this thing 100%. What are you looking for next?
The original hardware.
Original hardware. So let's show people what original hardware is. This is a square bolt. Square bolts. Square bolts. And some of these, so now let's stay underneath here before we get on that side, Bob. How about grating? Any popped grating of the spacers?
Yeah, the spacers are missing.
So what that means is when a fireman or a person steps and your leg goes through that, you get locked. You can't save yourself because now you're trapped with a bear trap. How about rusty tiers? Any rusty tiers indicating that water's getting into the connection?
Yeah, right there in front of you.
How about cement blowout into the back?
Yeah, you can see that too.
See cement blowout. Okay, let's take a look. Any damage from a truck or anything? Any bends on this fire escape? Okay.
Looks like that might have been hit.
Got hit. Let's take a look at is it square heads or rivets on the supports? Are those original or have they been switched out in the past 50 to 75 years?
No, they're original.
Original. To let this fire escape rust this much, how many years? To get 100% of your paint off your fire escape?
25 at least.
At least 25. Is there any paint that you can still see left? But even though there's no more paint on this, does this thing, which is older than 1978, have lead still in it?
Yes.
So it still has lead. Let's look at all the rust in between the connections. All this rust. Let's look at your treads. Missing spacers?
Yes.
And let's look over here underneath. Better before you climb up above. If I had my hammer, I'd do a hammer test. Any rust in any of the connections?
Rust in all of them.
Rust in all of them. The bulge. You can see all the bulges, right?
Yeah.
Is there any of them that if you were looking up straight up, can you see the sky if you look straight up on some of these? You look over here. You see that one right there? Can you look straight up?
Yeah.
How about this one over here? See all the rust? Any of these bolts that are holding as best they can, any of them totally gone? Are they all suspect in your mind?
All suspect, yeah.
Would you allow any of these to be welded and remain in place? Because that's a typical repair.
This has on the top 1/4-inch gap.
Yep. Now let's see how it lands on the ground. Is this all rotting on the ground?
It's all rotted out on that side especially. The channel is completely rotted out.
So the channel is completely gone over there? Okay. So, and how much rust? 1/4 inch every 25 years. How long you got of rust there?
Well, that's 75 years of rust there.
75 years. All these treads are 1/4, 3/8, 1/2 inch. If I was to stomp along on these, you think some of these would give way? Some of them have been patched with some welded bars. This is a typical repair when these flats give out.
Yes.
Lots of bends and smashes. I'll go slowly up this fire escape. I won't go too far, but you got enough evidence here that this is a perfect candidate of how bad things get when you just leave it alone. Have your inspectors ever walked down these alleyways?
Yes.
And why didn't they write this one up?
Well, we haven't had the program yet. But we have.
Maybe they did and nobody paid attention. Maybe they didn't know what to look for. And if it ain't broke, why fix it? There's also other reasons too. It's just it's not the priority. People think these are great. They've always been great. That nobody's ever fell 25 years ago. Yeah. Nobody fell 50 years ago. And they think that these things are indestructible. But now this is what I call a hidden time bomb. This is a grenade with a pin already pulled out of it. A fireman or somebody coming out of that top is going to fall down these stairs and get hurt or jammed or stuck.
Yeah.
So this is part of the 101.3. All exterior steel or wooden stairs.
Correct.
Okay. Is this an exterior steel or wooden stair?
It is.
Is there enough water falling on it?
There's plenty of water falling.
Got obstructions?
Yeah.
This is fairly new. This is 10, 15 years old.
Yeah.
Nailed together. Safe, solid, you think? Can we wiggle it a little bit? Okay. Does this need to be inspected on the 101.3?
It does.
So all exterior steel or wooden stairs need to be inspected. Need a permit to repair this?
Yes.
Renovator's license?
No paint on it.
No paint on it, but they can stain it. There's no paint. How about this one? All exterior steel wooden stairs. What is this?
It's a steel bulkhead stair combination.
This is a stair. This is somebody's. This is an egress. We're missing anything here?
Handrail.
Handrails are missing.
It's over 30
Let's
inches.
take a look at that. There's water falling on it. These are all metal. Any bulging rails or this looks like an adaptation to a bulkhead plus a stair.
It is, yeah.
But it's missing its rail. It's fairly, what, 15 to 25 years old, you estimate? Does this need to be inspected and have a cert on this?
It does.
Okay, so because it's 101, all exterior steel wooden stairs. Now, let's take a look at this one. Now, this is going to happen a lot of times. You can't even get access.
Yeah.
So let's talk about access. This door right here, which has a lock, is illegal because now these people cannot egress. It's very simple. On the inside, there's a push bar.
Yeah.
That's all you do. So whenever you have these gates that do whatever this thing is doing here for the trucks, that must be able to be pushed out. So that's a simple modification to make that a crash bar door. And then if you mesh enough of this, you mesh this, then nobody can put their hand in and force the door open.
Right.
So that's a neat, but it's illegal to lock somebody in a cage. Now, let's talk about from down here, and I can't get any more closer, from down here, more paint and rust or more rust and paint on the entire fire escape?
It's about equal, I would guess, but
Right,
mostly
so-
paint, mostly rust.
Mostly rust, so it needs a paint job. Now, from down here, and I know you can't see to the 5th or 6th floor. You just need to look at the 1st floor. Any evidence of maintenance, any shiny hex head bolts in this 50 to 75-year-old structure?
No, I see a mix of square head and rivets.
Okay, square heads and rivets,
So it's 50 to 75
50 to
years
75 years old. No evidence of maintenance.
old. No evidence.
Is every connection on there suspect then?
Yes.
Any release arm on there that you can see that would let that
I
cantilever
can't-
drop 2 to 3 feet per second?
I can't see a release mechanism.
So you're not sure whether even the cantilever is balanced correctly.
Correct.
And you're looking into the cement into the walls. Anything that you want to share? That can you see any rusty tears and any of the cement going up?
Yeah, I see signs of spalling and rust
Okay.
at the
So
connection.
right from here, and what about the grading? Let's talk about the grading.
Yeah, you can see the spaces are rusted out.
Spacers are rusted out in a lot of the grading. So again, as an inspector from down below, and you start looking up, a lot of these buildings that are 50 to 75 years old have not seen a certification in at least 25 years. And it'd be great if they had a tag, and it'd be great if you can get out of this building in case there was a fire.
Yeah.
But here in this one little alleyway, we have a major egress system, and you talked about ACs in the windows, which is illegal, and you have units in in front of windows that people have to use to get out.
Well, they got the windows blocked off.
The windows are blocked off with the cages. Again, a lot of that was because of security issues, but that's not your. They have to resolve
doors
that.
that lead out to the.
And they have doors, but sometimes the windows are the only means for another apartment. The doors
Yeah.
are from a hallway, but every now and then to satisfy that piece of the building, they use the window to get. That's why they put that little add-on. So don't think if all of a sudden there's a hallway door feeding it.
Yeah.
There has to be a reason why they put that little half circle there. That half circle is to pick up that window to meet the means of egress inside, because that is the only second means of egress for that apartment is through the window, which is now blocked by ACs and units. So right from here, you have a fire escape. So right in this building, in this alleyway, and I don't think we have any more down here, you have what 101 covers. Wood, all exterior wood or steel, fire escapes. And this one is the best because all original hardware on this one. And this was a great one. Don't you think that it showed everything that could go wrong with a fire escape, it showed on this one. And this is what you use in training. And look at the staircase. See the whole stringer, how it clips up there?
Yeah.
All original hardware. So sometimes it's not the treads that'll kill you, it's the whole staircase will let go and fall to the ground. So we're going to go look at some more fire escape Academy Inspector Training. We're here in Lowell with Bob, the commissioner. And in this city, you touch a fire escape in the city, he wants a permit, he wants a renovator's license, he wants engineer oversight. Otherwise, this fire escape will not be allowed to be certified, or he wants a load test. Fire Escape Academy Inspector Training. Academy Inspector Training videos. We're here in Lowell, Massachusetts. We got Bob Marsilia. He's the building commissioner here in Lowell. And we're doing some downtown walk-around training. And these are just some of the standards that he's looking for. This is the Sun Building. And this is a great building to look at simply because it's beige in color. couple of things here we look for. Must be structurally sound, must be kept painted. So did it pass the paint test? More rust than paint, or more paint than rust? So that's all you really need to know. But let's say somebody painted this whole thing. What other things can we look for? The next one for structural is original hardware. Any evidence of maintenance just from the ground. You don't have to go up 10 stories. Because if they didn't fix the first floor, they didn't fix the 9th floor either.
No, these are rivets too.
So these are all rivets indicating that this is older than 75 years old, because rivets are 75 plus years old on average. Square head bolts are 50 to 75 years old on average. Now, do you see any icing or dragon tears and rust coming down the wall?
Everywhere.
So that means you know that the wall is getting penetrated with water. Let's look at the grading. Is the grading showing any displacements on the spacers that keep the grading?
Yeah.
How about the treads going up? Do you see rust between the angle clip and the flat bar on each side of the stringers?
Yes.
When you're looking at the clip that holds the entire staircase up above, does it look like it has original hardware or any repairs, any evidence of maintenance anywhere?
Negative. No, it's all original.
There used to be a cantilever here, I believe, that they took out because you can see all the cuts, and they put in this fold-out. And this fold-out ladder is an example of what you can put in some cases when the city allows it. But you lift that latch, and when that latch opens, this ladder actually opens to the right side, and it opens up into an 18-inch. And a lot of times you can find out whether it's in good condition or not if you can pull it just by. But it looks like it's frozen, because if you don't keep these things oiled and greased, they don't open up even when you release them. Yeah. A lot of damage. You can even see that the bottom plate up there is pulled away. Okay, so now this is a very obvious. Now also, you have an EPA rule here. Fire escapes that are older than 1978 have lead as a base. You think this fire escape has lead?
Yes.
So you need to be a licensed renovator. So anybody fixing this fire escape is not only have to be a licensed renovator, must pull a permit to do any repair work on this, must have engineer oversight, and the engineer must make sure that there's a permit pulled. The engineer needs to do 3 to 5 visits, and on a fire escape of this magnitude, it's probably going to be 5 to 10 visits to verify every connection. And into the wall, what do you want them to do? You want them just to patch up at the veneer level, or do you want to verify or nullify these connections into this wall?
They all have to be, they can't be verified because they're all failed. You can see the
Right,
expensive rust.
right. Lots of tears everywhere. So on this one, would you recommend individual connections back with epoxy bolts, you know, the Hilti's 8 to 12 inches, or would you want unification, which is a piece of angle 3 by 3 going along the whole length underneath, and every 2 or 3 feet as per the engineer's order, epoxy bolt all of it, the angle, and then the angle clip ties back into all these T-bars. Because you know what the problem is with the wall on this on the front of the building. Would you want individual epoxies, or would you want unification as a better method here at this building?
Probably unification, but then the existing individual beams that are coming out look like they may be in need of replacement in some cases.
Well, that's a different story. That's either sistering. You're mainly concerned about the tie-ins, because even if they're rotting near the beginning, we can sister that up and pick it up, because the angle, the 4x4, can pick it up beyond any rusting or any problem at the wall level. Yeah. But unification is what I would recommend here, because we have a problem wall on this building that's older than 1920s. So unification would give me more strength than individual. Yeah. So this one is an easy giveaway, because this is a beige fire escape on a white building, and you can just see all the problems. But let's look over here. And again, you don't see any evidence of maintenance. All original rivets. This is 75 plus years old. Yeah. Let's look at this one, and what kind of bolts you see here? Rivets or squares?
It's a square.
And this is a dark, gloomy day, so it's dark here. So you know, for you to be seeing fire escape rust, it's very difficult. I mean, you can see rust on this one, but now you're an inspector and you're coming down here, so it's an easy thing. More paint than rust, or more rust than paint on this fire escape? What do you say?
This looks like it has more paint than rust.
Okay, so you can't get them on the paint maintenance issue, but now let's take a look and see if there's been evidence of maintenance. Let's just look for any square heads. So on from the side here, any of the gussets, you see any hex head bolts anywhere? On anyone, you see any shiny new bolt anywhere?
No, they look like they're all original square heads.
So they're all original squares. Let's take a look over here on this cantilever. This cantilever, any evidence of maintenance? Any evidence?
No.
You see rust blowing out?
I see a lot of rust. I see square heads.
And you see this contraption here. They've attached things to the cantilever. You got the weight box. on both sides. Any maintenance to the weights. Release arm, perfect release arm. Look all this smashed release arm.
Yeah, the release arm is not working because it's in the open position now.
Yeah,
so
it's in the open position.
It wouldn't be working. So this thing is
out of balance.
out of balance. It looks like it was pinned up.
And let's see where it's pinned. And it got hit by a truck. Do you agree that it got hit by a truck?
They put a wooden dowel above the door to keep it from dropping.
So they got.
You can't open.
You can't. It won't even come down. So you got a life safety issue now because these people are going to come walking out as far as they can until that dowel gives way. And then what's happened? You're going to have a collapse. How about obstruction? We got plenty of obstruction on this fire escape.
Yeah.
Okay. You look up. You got evidence of maintenance on any of these treads and any of these fire escapes going up?
No evidence.
How about the wall, going into the wall? You see any rusty tiers? Any blowout? Any spalling?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So even if they painted this fire escape, the fact that there's no hex head bolts anywhere is evidence that there's been no maintenance in 75 years. In at least 50 to 75 years. Let's take a look at this deck. This deck is made out of steel or wood?
Steel and wood, it looks like.
So cement to a wood lip of some kind? You think that's safe or rotted?
It's deteriorated.
Okay. So
Wood
let's...
decking is all rotted. You can see it's got asphalt on it.
Let me tell you something. This building right here, whose fire escape is this? Is this the right side fire escape? Because it looks like there's a door up there. Because it looks like this fire escape on this independent building shares this fire escape. So who has to pay for this fix? It's this building. Because this fire escape belongs to them. This fire escape uses this fire escape to get down. Now, do you know what happens when a fire escape, do you think that was truck damage? Right there?
Possible.
Well, I mean the bend, you think people came out and bent it? Or you think it was truck damage? Now, are you aware that the law says that in case there's truck damage, whether you know who it is, this is a hit and run, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Whether this was done yesterday or 25 years ago, the insurance on this building will fix this fire escape. This is what we call a fire escape lottery ticket, because I have to fix this fire escape and bring it back to operational condition. So the owner who's going to get a violation on this, if he gets the right guy that knows how to advise him, is going to say, dude, the insurance company is going to fix this 100% for free, simply because if you know who the truck is that smashed it, no, I don't know, then your own insurance with your deductible of $1,000, $2,000, or $5,000 is going to fix this thing 100% because I got to bring it back to operational condition.
Just the damaged area?
Not the damage. The whole fire escape must be brought back to operational condition. So, no, because this is a different building. If this building was hit for any reason, he feeds into this one. So the insurance company has to fix this whole cantilever for this guy that you're going to write a violation on.
Look at the electrical up there.
Yep. Electrical is usually 10 feet away because you stop pouring enough water on this fire escape during a fire, it's going to cause an electrocution of some kind.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, these guys who are writing the violations, they don't see enough of this. But the beauty about your new system is that when they walk back here, they put a yellow tag or a red tag here. Which one do they hang?
Yeah, red tag.
They red tag this one. What about that one?
That's definitely a red tag.
These red tags are going to do what for the firemen?
They'll keep them safe. They would realize they can't go up on them.
And what about the tenants who pay rent here? What would a red tag do for them?
Might be able to withhold their rent.
Withhold their rent and say, hey, it's not safe. Make it safe for me. So this is alleyway inspection, Fire Escape Academy inspector training. We're here in Lowell, Massachusetts. Inspector training. All right, so is it on?
Yep.
Okay, Fire Escape Academy inspector training video. We're here with Gene Novak, right?
Right.
State inspector. And what we're going to be doing, we're in town of Westboro. We just finished doing an academy training class, and we're doing what's called a downtown walk around. And we're just going to look at this fire escape as an example. And all around this fire escape, there's several types of the same type of fire escape that don't have cantilevers, that have ladders. So we're going to show you, and he's going to pass this on to all the members. And this is a YouTube link. That basically it's going to be a 3 to 5 minute video. It could be 10 minutes because we're going to walk all the way around the building. But what an inspector has to do to no longer ever step on these things. All fire escape inspections can be done right from the ground. And there's two things. Must be structurally sound, must be kept painted. So let's start off with the first one. whether or not there's a violation here. If he could have gone in this building for something else, a permit of some kind, only to walk out here and identify that the fire escape is or has not been painted. So, first question, more rust than paint or more paint than rust?
Hey, this is about 50-50.
50-50?
So it's clearly a concern.
It's been, and in order for this much rust, just so you know, it takes over 25 years for this much rust to grow, of no paint job. And that's a proven fact, that it takes over 25 years to let this much grow. So let's say they knew you were coming. Last week, you gave out a notice that said, hey, I'm coming to your building, I'm going to do an inspection, and I'm checking your fire escape. A building owner like, oh man, I'm not going to pass. He gets Joe Painter to come out and do a quick paint job on this, and it happens all the time. They want to mask it. Because a lot of times you're only underneath it, you're looking for a paint job, and a lot of times the paint job can hide a lot. So let's assume it's all painted now. The second thing you're looking for is for testing, structural adequacy. This building is 50 to 75 years old or older, and the fire escape is original to the building, but every connection on this is original. So usually in 50, 75 years, you've seen some sort of maintenance. And that maintenance could be changing of bolts, because to know that it's original hardware, you're looking at rivets or square head bolts.
Square heads, yeah.
And you're looking for evidence of any bulges in the connection plates of any kind. So, without even looking for structural problems such as missing treads or anything, do you notice any new hardware? Anything? Any new little bolt?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So the largest square is, we see some heads on the stringer.
There you go. So it looks like they came in and did something with the staircase, and there's some hex heads. So if you want to zoom in on those stringers, you see some hex heads there.
And we also see some type of flange underneath looks like an add-on underneath the tread.
Okay, so it looks like they created a bracket to hold the old tread up above.
Right.
All right, let's see what the old treads look like. Because are they welded or are they so let's look over here. If you look in here, look at the original treads. Are they bolted or welded? Do they look like a certified welder to those? They do not. Even with your lack of experience as what is a certified inspection of a weld, you can see that it's kind of not the greatest. And did they repaint it after it was done?
I tell you, it doesn't look like they cleaned the welds off.
They didn't clean the welds, they didn't paint it.
I mean, they weren't inspected. We have a new tread here.
Right. So here's a new tread, a new piece of galvanized. So we've got some evidence of maintenance. Now, let's take a look at, if you look straight up, can you see any bulges in the clips of the treads that they just welded? You know, little rust tears, or can you see it? Especially that one.
Yes.
Now, especially that one, and Viv, if you can come in here.
I did already. I got
See
it.
the broken weld? See, welds snap, bolts stretch. So if I'm going to leave the rust inside a connection, 1 year, when the rust grows another 8, what happens to that weld? Just snaps. So is weld a means of repair for any fire escape? No. Fire escapes in the summer do this. They expand and do this. And in the winter they cool and contract and they do this. Now when you weld it, it does this. So that's why 98% of all the fire escapes in the United States are bolted connection fire escapes. They're supposed to move with the building and they're supposed to cool with the building. That's why all fire escapes are bolted. Very few are welded. And a lot of times, you think when they weld it, they seal it up above so no water gets inside? Do you think water is getting inside those welds right now and is basically eating the weld from inside out? So it makes it so you can't weld. So let's go step back. Let's take a look at the rest of the hardware. Square or square head or hex head. So the weights, nobody's done anything on this weight box.
Large bulge right here.
Large bulge. If you step back here, you're going to see some large bulge over here. This whole connector, this joint over here, see some bulging happening here?
Yep.
Let's look at the gussets over here. Original or square heads?
Original.
All right, and look over here, straight up. Look at this gusset, straight up. Come over here and take a look at this gusset. And now, it's rust inside the connection. Yeah. Now, look, if you come over here, G, look at that gusset way back there. You see a bulge on the top? Doing this?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right? But do you even care whether or not on this 50 to 75-year-old fire escape, whether this gusset is beautiful that gusset is compromised, and that gusset is compromised. Will an engineer load test a fire escape that has 50, 75, or 100-year-old square original hardware? Do you think he would want to? You wouldn't want to. Now, if I came in here and I just took out some of these bolts and I put in new bolts in the connections, one at a time, or if this one is in great condition, do you think I could squeeze another bolt between them? Do you think I could squeeze some other new holes in there? So I have a choice in preparation for this thing for a load test. If I find square head bolts that are in good to excellent condition, and I don't want to change them out, I can actually reinforce them by backing them up with another bolt. But sometimes it's faster for me to take an old bolt out and put a new bolt in than it is for me to drill a new one next to it. So whatever's cheaper to the client will prepare it for a load test. So this original hardware, I can't load test this platform, but I can refurbish this platform in lieu of a load test.
Where is this primary attached to the building? I don't see it.
The attachment to the building is going to come, let me see if I can see the two bolts. See right here. If you look straight up there, you can see that the two bolts into the building up there. Oh, sorry. And I think there's two bolts here that basically tie you into the building. It's actually above.
No, it's right there in the corner. Right in that corner, there's a hole that goes right in.
Yeah.
Right at the corner.
Yeah. There's this is basically, it's got a backing plate inside, even though it's a brick structure. And there's a rod that comes out, and then that rod, if you look up there's 3 bolts that come out. So the rod comes out round, 1 inch, and then they smash it and they flatten it, and it becomes 3 bolts that connect to the angle. So you see 3 of them right there. Okay. And there's more that you can see. So let's move forward into the cantilever. It must be balanced and must drop 2 to 3 feet per second. This is the release arm.
Yeah.
So I can't break into this building because this release arm won't let me pull the cantilever down.
I don't even know how it works. It's just you turn it?
As soon as it blocks your way. Single action requiring no special knowledge, and when you push it away, it turns.
It's not even open.
No, it turns.
Yeah.
No, see, it's resting on the top. It's trying to drop.
Oh, okay, I see.
See, it wants to go up, so it stops. So that's a permanent release arm. When you release it, the thing will drop 2 to 3 feet per second, look around and stay down. Let's take a look at some other things. We see some bending on the cantilever arm. Yeah. Now, they've obviously refurbished a lot of the treads on this whole fire escape. Right? Just to make it balance. And sometimes they add weight. This is perfect, because now we're looking at from down here, so we can move on to this one. Can you tell me whether or not those are original or new? Alright, so would I load test that? So you want to see refurbishment or rebolting of the major critical connections. That is all the treads. You see all the treads rebolted. Are you satisfied that all the treads have been rebolted on this fire escape? There's evidence of maintenance, right? You can see it, right? So that means somebody refurbished the tread system. What about inspector training video. We're here in Westboro. We got Gino back here, state inspector. We got obstructions, we got trees growing. Let's do a quick inspection. If I was the inspector looking at this fire escape, I'm hired as a fire escape inspector. I'll tell you what I found wrong with the fire escape. First of all, we got obstructions, we got a lot of rust. We've got this thing deteriorating into the ground. So all these treads can actually, you can actually just rip these treads. If I was to hammer test, I got rust growing in here. If I was to hammer test, this is where inspectors get hurt. They go up, and sometimes this thing will fall from an, look at this, Gene. You see, if you look at that side, you think that thing was going to give way if an inspector came down unknowingly?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's ready to go.
So this is ready to go. This is a loading dock, so this gets used all the time. So now I'll be careful going up because I'm looking for certain things. I got all this grading is supported at the nose, and this grading is supported at the back, and this whole rear is all rotted out. So, So now we've got loads of material coming in here, and so imagine some poor kid putting on a couch, a refrigerator,
The actual
and the
angle
rear.
end is gone.
The channel is gone. So if you get underneath there, Viv, and you just, poke your nose underneath there, and shoot that thing.
Channel end is completely gone.
Now this is taking couches, refrigerators, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's missing its rail here, and a lot of times this is a chain rail.
That's right. Yeah.
So usually, if any kids get over here playing around, they could fall. So it's usually missing a passing rail. Look at the supports into the ground, how they're rotting, because it's just cemented into the ground, as opposed to being sitting on a pillar. That's another problem there. There's some welds here that I can't verify, but as soon as I put a bolt through here, I can verify this weld here by putting a couple of bolts in here. So whenever you get welds, I basically nullify the weld by putting in bolts. Look at all this rust growing in here.
Boy.
Okay.
That really shows you how much it will push out.
Yeah, it'll push out. A quarter inch will go to 1 inch. Wow. Now, if I'm going to go up,
another obstruction with a tree.
Yeah, another tree. It's a very popular thing to have trees. A lot of people let vines grow. These vines will take a fire escape over in no time. Now this whole fire escape is welded. Because it looks like they used to have treads here, and they came in and took the treads out and put in new ones. Do you see these rusty tears coming down?
I do.
That's an indication that whoever welded these, and they usually weld the nose and the back, a piece in the back. The water gets in from above and it starts eating these trees. So even though visually the weld looks good from the outside, there's usually only a quarter of them percent left when you step on it and the weld gives way. Let me see if I can find one that's ready to give on the way up. And that's on this side. If you look up, straight up here, you're going to see quite a bit.
That's it. That's the one that's in.
Okay, so all these rusty tears are indicators that water's coming in from above.
The next couple of beds.
Okay, now as you can see, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do the grading up here.
Yeah.
So all this fire escape was kind of put together. So all these brackets and all these connectors here. The only way I can guarantee this weld, if it's not a rust build, all I have to do to not weld this, and you can't because of the EPA requirements, you can't weld on fire escapes. As soon as I put in 2 structural bolts here, 2 structural bolts there, then I seal this up with silicone. I don't have to verify the building. This angle needs to be open. This corner angle needs to be open. Right. But she's legged to the ground, so that's just, she's just pulling out because freeze and thaw gets in here. Water gets in here, freeze and thaw keeps pulling, but it's a lag screw into an anchor into the wall. It needs a full paint job because it hasn't seen paint. And it's an all welded fire escape, so a lot of times, Gene, see this connection right here? All these connections to avoid verification process. As soon as I blow some holes through them, I got this stringer welded to this thing. As soon as I put an angle clip in here, put 2 bolts in it, I've eliminated the need what could be a very good weld. But because I don't want to spend any money x-raying it, it's cheaper to put a bolt through with a clip. So this wood here would take a bolt. This wood here would take a bolt. Otherwise, verify that weld. So as you start coming down, you can see that the worst part of this fire escape is down here. To the point that there's even a dip in the grading because there's some heavy load coming in and out. Is this considered a life safety issue in your opinion? knowing the traffic that comes through here,
Yes.
is somebody going to get hurt with a refrigerator, loading a fridge,
Absolutely. Eventually.
and it's never the owner. It's always Joe, helper. Now, even these treads, as you can see, the day that you can start grabbing steel that is welded and connected, and if you want, you can. You're not supposed to do this with steel. I mean, the only thing fighting me is this tree. It's not the steel anymore. And this is a good point. Even though it's the final tread, look what rust did to the connector. And that's the stringer, it's all rotted. Okay? So that's the power of rust left unchecked. Now, the cement issue on the ground, the bulges. Now I'm going to give you an answer right here. What we tell the clients to do, because snow will accumulate here. You clean this up, you're going to find a foundation of some kind. We get a sonotube, about 12 inches. A piece of sonotube. Rip it in half. Do this. Sit it on top of the old sono. You bring it up 6 to 12 inches above grade. Now, this thing is already in the cement. It's already wrong. Because you're not supposed to put steel or wood inside cement. Building code doesn't allow. I'm already too far gone on this one. But if I raise this 8 to 12 inches of cement, sono wrapped around, I drilled some holes, put a couple of rebars in the old cement to sort of marry the two together. Prior to that, I grabbed roofing tar, and I goop with my hands in a glove. I goop this whole thing up to 12 inches with tar. Then I wrap it in cement, and then I fill it with about 6 inches so that whenever there's snow, more than 6 inches of snow is what's going to be needed. But it's tarred 12 inches. So that whenever there's snow accumulating down here, it's sitting on top of tar. And then the last thing I put on this, when there's a new piece of cement, sono, I put in a clip that sits on top of the sono. Bolted here and sitting so that as this rots, and this will rot, what's inside will rot away, the new clip on top is the new foot. What's wrong is sitting inside, but I can't do anything about it because they already built it wrong. But there's things you can do with that. Scrape and paint, older than 1978, so EPA renovator's license is required. You need a permit to pull. You can't do any work on this fire escape. No welding allowed. So it's all bolted. So I can secure every one of these treads. I come in here putting in 2 bolts. I drill 2 3/8 holes. Do I have to guarantee these welds anymore? No. As soon as I put in the 2 bolts, I've nullified the weld. I still will try to seal it on top so water doesn't get in there anymore. 50-year silicone is a great thing to have.
Actually, we're actually missing the sheet behind here.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's an unsupported piece of grading. There you go. And you can actually.
Yeah, we got work to do here.
Yeah.
We gotta
So
start writing.
these are the kind of things, because you get very few of these fire escapes are kind of whipped into a shape like this one. This is kind of brought here, and some guy had pieces, and he created this fire escape system. Most fire escapes, believe it or not, are built to standard, built to code. This, every now and then there's one that's shoehorned in, and this is one of those that is kind of shoehorned in. But that's all you have to worry about is, do they know what to look for? Do they know what to expect? How do you deal with a welded fire escape versus a bolted fire escape? And all the codes associated. But if you have a permit that you pull, and you are the one overseeing that to make sure that the vendor who's doing the work is correct, and then there's the confidence test, this is the sign-off. Meaning, if I'm going to oversee this job, the engineer has to oversee. So there's 3 to 5 visits required by an engineer. So that if he's watching this and he's going to be signing, he can't do an initial inspection and a final inspection 6 months from now. He must schedule and get paid for by the owner an initial inspection review. The vendor is starting to do the work. He must show up when the vendor's working, watch the job, make sure it's going according to his standard, come in the middle of the job, come in the 3/4 of the job, and then do a final. Because he's signing off on a certification. about the platforms? Have they been refurbished? No. All right. So you want that now taken care of before you'll allow this. You need a load test here too, right?
Yeah, it looks like there's something missing up top. You see a green line out off a little bit.
No, a lot of times there's not going to be any boxing or anything like you see over there. It doesn't need, the grading is what ties it all together. But now with that happening here, let's move over to this little one. Do you know what this is? This is called a fold-out ladder. Do you know how these work? This won't even, this actually supposed to fold up. If it was properly working, this folds up into itself and it looks like a drain pipe. And you only release it from above. And when you release it, it does this. This is 7 to 9 feet off the ground. I'm supposed to jump through the remaining portion. But do you trust every one of these rivets on this ladder without a load test? If I load test this, will that be sufficient? Okay, otherwise can I give you another alternative? If I was to take out each one of these rivets and put in a new bolt here, will you be then satisfied? That would be a certification. In lieu of a load test, you want refurbishment, reinforcement in lieu of a load test. Because that's what the law says, right? Yeah. Examination or a load test.
These are hollow rivets?
No, they're through, but they're one piece. But the water's getting in there. Can you, if you see that everything's been compromised. Right. Original square heads. You touch this, see the rust inside there? Yeah. Even though it's a 16 to an 8, do you think that rust has compromised these bolts? So in order for somebody to guarantee this to you, as soon as I take out those two bolts, which is pretty fast, I don't need to verify them anymore. I can just change the bolts. So refurbishment is what gives you the guarantee. Let's take a look at this one. Do you see any cement problems?
Oh yeah. Oh, repointing needed.
Perfect. Look at the gussets. Do you see any bulges in the gussets? Especially this right one.
Oh yeah.
So you already see that, and even if you couldn't see original hardware or new hardware anywhere on this fire escape system. No new hardware, so it's impossible for something that's 50 to 75 years old not to have some sort of refurbishment to satisfy you as the inspector. What about paint job? Needs a paint job or no paint job? And the fact that this thing's down, this is a break-in issue. People can break into the building, but if this thing was properly greased and properly bolted, you can close this up now. There's nobody breaking into this building. Okay, now let's walk this way. There's a fixed fire escape ladder right here. And if any of these bolts ever give way, how heavy are these to fall on somebody's head?
Yeah, this looks like it's bent a little bit.
Right, it's bulging.
Oh yeah,
how about back here?
Quite a bit, yeah, these refurbished.
Okay, and if you can get in there and look at the this is about 1,000 pounds worth of weight here.
Now, is this concrete or?
No, that's solid steel. It's cast iron. Okay, now look at back here.
Yeah.
You think that's holding it?
Yeah.
So the rivets that hold the whole angle, they're gone. And look at the nut, it's gone. If you come back here and shoot this, and then what about this corner? The frame, is that corner good? It's so this fire escape is structurally unsound. Did you have to climb on this fire escape to make that assessment? No. So we've done a cantilevered unit. You've looked up 3 stories. We've done a balcony with a folding ladder. Let's go to the front of this building. And again, this much rust takes 25 years of non-paint. Never paint something. Again, you're on a physical inspection on the building. You happen to walk out and notice there's a fire escape. More rust than paint or more paint than rust? The paint job. So if you only want to write a violation on just the maintenance part, that's all you need. Because whether you write a violation on paint or structurally, it always requires the 5-year anyway. Both of them are going to get you the same thing. So now let's look up structurally. Any evidence of any maintenance anywhere. But the first thing you look for is any new hex heads anywhere to your knowledge. So if you don't see one new hex head in 50, 75, or 100 years of this building, has anybody ever structurally touched this fire escape? So, do you need to go any further? You want to get out a window and climb on it and test it with your body? You want to do a live load test?
No.
You know?
In fact, there's a chain here.
Correct. That chain is because this too is a fold-out ladder. This thing is, if you could,
It's supposed to be up.
oh yeah, this one's slow.
Oh yeah, that could be up. Huh?
It does move. It's not tall enough.
So that should be.
And that's a break-in. But now look for bulges. all the original hair, so nobody can ever load test this. You got bulges, especially on this, so look how big the bulge is. So you got unsupported platform. Let's take a look into the building. Do you see any cement connections that are tearing up? You know, and you look like they've been doing some repointing anyway. But did they verify it back into the building? All right, let's take a look at this one. So they can have this, but now we're in obstruction. They can take that hole and put it up there. Okay. But right now, the guy took advantage of something, and that's obstructing firemen from getting up and getting down. But again, more paint than rust or more rusted paint?
More rusted, yeah.
More rusted paint? And what about structurally? Any evidence of any maintenance in the history of this fire escape that you can identify on the rail, on the gusset?
Other repointing, but nothing in the fire escape.
Now, one bolt in 75 years. It's impossible. And no engineer will load test this.
In fact, we have a cornerstone or
yeah. A lot of times it's because as the iron grows, it snaps lentils and it snaps stone. So anything else? How about the corners on the rails? And this thing is a fire escape deck. You see how it's built in? The opposition, and then when you release it, it comes down. Right. So now there's one last fire escape. Let's come over here.
And lastly, there's an air conditioner and
exactly
in this one, so you have another obstruction.
Obstruction, yeah. No ACs in the windows, correct? No flower pots on the fire escape. Now this is just one building. And you didn't come out for a fire escape inspection. You came out for some other form of inspection. This one. So if this thing was greased, when you release it from above, so now if it's closed, I can't break it in the building. If it's not properly attached, here, it used to be here, it was not properly attached, and when you release it and it was properly greased, it's supposed to do this. It comes down and people come down. Oh yeah, the whole thing. So now let's, down here you can see a lot more of the cement situations. Now, let's talk about the cement. You want me to blow that hole open and verify that it's properly connected into the building, or do you want a new epoxy bolt next to it?
New epoxy bolt.
For what reason? Because I can make $250 per examination, but I can only make $25 per new epoxy bolt. So, is it really what's better for the client? Whatever's cheaper and faster to the client. So instead of me verifying what obviously looks like a good but it's unverifiable without some form of destructive testing, which means right next to it I drill a 3/4 hole next to the steel, and then I put in a probe and I start photographing it whichever way I can to prove to you with photographs that, but instead 3 to 5 inches away I put a new bolt, put a Hilti epoxy bolt, mechanically fasten it back to this one, make sure this one is properly packed. Now the unknown, it's called the invisible connection, has now been duplicated. So it's ever cheaper, verification of the connection or duplication, whatever's cheaper to the client. Otherwise, the only other way for me to guarantee the wall, even after I've done all my rebolting, let's say I've rebolted 100% of the fire he'll say, give me the guarantee. He says, I can't. I must load test it. Because it's an unknown. How it ties into the building is unknown. And loading a load test is going to prove to me whether it can handle. Or, to avoid the costly load test, if you let me epoxy bolt it into the wall, I don't need a load test because I've refurbished 97% of the fire escape with new bolts, which I'll be able to physically show you. Photographed of every one of these bolts will be new hex head bolts. All my joints will be sealed with silicone. The fire escape will be primed and painted. The EPA law applies here too. Is this older than 1978? I must have a renovator's license. I must pull a permit. If I'm going to touch this fire escape, change one bolt, do I need a permit?
Well, Cisco, I must say your strategies work well here because you mentioned square bolt, you mentioned your hex head bolt, and you can see the hex head bolt right here, and the two top ones on this ladder, and we can actually see the old holes where they actually relocated the ladder, and apparently there's a maintenance on it.
Right. But if I do all those things and I seal it up, the only thing left for you to get the word guarantee or the word certification from me is let me load test it. And I won't load test it unless I change all the bolts. So there's even a preparation process, getting it ready for a load test. And the other thing is the connection you're known to the wall. Now let's say this was welded. Let's say this was welded, there was no bolts here. How do I verify the weld? Without an expressive X-ray machine? But as soon as I blow a hole, and if this was welded and I blow a hole through here, not even welded, forget it, I don't care about the welding, but I put a new bolt. As soon as I bolt it and I back up my weld, now my weld can stay. I seal it still so that water doesn't get inside and eat that weld anyway, but my bolt now is my primary. So the only unknowns on fire escapes are welded connections, which we back up with a bolt, unknown connections into the building, which we either verify through a very expensive destruction process, or we epoxy bolt next to it. But otherwise, 97% of this fire escape, I'm able to make an opinion on right away that says I got original hardware, which I won't allow a load test on. But as soon as I reinforce or replace every one of these bolts and give this thing a paint job, I can then give you a certification with no disclaimers. Is that as good as it gets instead of a load test? So all you're looking for from all your inspectors is to not take opinion tests anymore, which they say it's very clear. To the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, the fire escape is structurally sound and has been kept painted. Those are unacceptable.
So we're maximizing public safety.
This is a national strategy now because there's a lot more and more people learn about this, that it's this simple. Don't have your inspectors come out the window and step on this and do an evaluation from above. Don't have them do an inspection where they come down a set of stairs all the way to the ground. They're taking their lives in their own hands because at any time a tread can give way, a support can give way. All these things basically repeat themselves. So whether this is a 1-story or a 10-story, they don't fix all the stories except for the first floor. So whatever you see for the first floor usually repeats itself on all the floors. So if they're not maintaining the first floor, do you think they're maintaining the second? So every inspection for fire escapes is now at ground level. And if you have binoculars, it'll help. But otherwise, everything is with a naked eye.
This is extremely educational. I think that's what we need, training and education.
Well, we'll send this out as a link to you, and you can send it out to as many of your constituents and members of your association, and they can watch it on YouTube night and day.